after attending last week's State of the College address at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, the Georgia Sentinel had an opportunity to sit down with President Jabari Simama for an exclusive interview. Jabari Simama. Now, you've been around Atlanta for quite a while. You were in local politics. You were president of Bennett College, am I?
Benedict, vice president.
Vice president, okay.
In Columbia, South Carolina.
And Columbus, it's in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right. There is a Bennett in North Carolina.
Okay.
All women's.
That's where I was.
College, but yeah, Bennett. Everybody gets those two confused.
Right.
So.
Well, it's important as a background because I think people, when they think about college and they think about sending their kids to college, they want to know that they're sending them into an environment not only of the classic things that you would hope that they would learn, but that they're being educated by people that know what it is those kids are about to step into, the world as it is, so to speak. And you mentioned several things at the State of the College address that I thought was very timely about the modern day workforce, its needs, and the preparedness that kids and young adults will need to have going into that workforce. Could you please expound on some of the programs that speak to the new economy of the world that is today and the programs that the college has for it?
Well, I will do that. I wanted to start out by just talking kind of broadly about how higher education has changed.
Yes, sir.
Because it used to be a time where the concept was finish high school and then go get a good job for the city or go get a good job for the county or something like that.
Right.
But this whole option of these sort of middle skilled jobs, like the jobs that we're preparing people for, the middle skilled jobs in the healthcare industry, the middle skilled jobs in public safety, the middle skilled jobs in information technology, and then some of the newer technology like drones and 3D printing. All of these are new industries of the future that don't really require an engineering degree from Georgia Tech.
Right.
But for every one engineer at Georgia Tech, you can believe there are 100 middle skilled people supporting them.
Right.
And these jobs pay well. In many cases, very few of them require 4 years of college. At most, 2-year associate's degree, but some of them are 1-year diplomas or 1 or 2 semester technical certificates. I think that if we can start introducing our young people, particularly minorities, to these high-paying, high-demand industries, strategic industries, if you will, and we start introducing them to these industries in the 5th or 6th grade, I think that becomes an incentive to stay in school, to do well in terms of the subject matter, and to go on and get a good job, buy a home, be a contributing member to family, community, and society. The problem is thinking now that everybody's going to go to Morehouse or Spelman or Georgia State or Emory University. That's just not reality. It's never been reality.
Right.
In society at large. It certainly has never been reality in the black and brown communities. And we're trying to help people understand that W.B. Du Bois's concept of sort of educating the mind, and Booker T. Washington's concept of sort of drop your bucket where you are and using your hands, that there is an intersection between the two. And when you look at the needs of our community today and the needs of the workforce today, that intersection is a very good place for our people to land. Now, the people who are going to go to Emory and Yale and Harvard, they're going to go anyhow.
Right.
So, but what about the overwhelming majority that are struggling even to finish high school? They have to have an incentive, and an early incentive. I mean, we need to be taking them to Barranco's Buckhead Mercedes when they're in the 5th and 6th grade. They need to see these fancy cars, and they need to see that the persons who keep these cars running are people who have a 1 or 2 year technical college degree, and they're starting out making $65,000 a year.
And they look like them.
And they look just like them, and it came from the very same communities that they came from. And within 3 or 4 years on the job, they're making $100,000. They need to see this early. I think that gives them a clear vision of a distinct pathway. But they also need to know that in order to get jobs like that, you have to know some math. You have to know computers, and not just social media. I mean, you have to know computers and an information technology, networking sense and concept.
Right.
So I'm very excited about technical education and community college education being a very progressive and entrepreneurial alternative that has more than the economic implications in terms of good salaries, livable wages, but also I think it has community transformation and community empowerment implications.
Now, who would you say, if there is, who is the typical student for Georgia Piedmont Technical?
Well, that's the interesting thing. I don't think we have atypical students. I think we have typical students.
Right.
And I think, we have that sort of traditional age student who's like 18 to 24, who very well could have been at Clark Atlanta University, who we have an extensive partnership with. I could have been at Georgia State, but chose to come here for a variety of reasons.
Right.
We provide a lot of learning support, so you're going to get the necessary learning support that you need if you come here. We provide relatively inexpensive tuition, so it's going to be affordable if you come here. So that is clearly one kind of student. And it's not the student who can't get into Clark Atlanta University. Right. It's a student who chooses to be here. And it's really a smart move, because even our tuition is cheaper than Georgia State, but because of we're part of a state network and system that's interrelated, you can take 27 hours here of your sort of general ed courses at a lower price than at Georgia State. Then you can transfer to Georgia State if you choose to do that. So that's one kind of student. Another kind of student, which we're seeing more and more of, is a student who already has a degree. And the student is coming back to get a technical certificate or maybe an associate's degree in some technical specialized area that makes their four-year degree more valuable. So we're increasingly finding ourselves having a large number of students with degrees already. Our student of the year a couple of years ago was an English teacher coming back to get a degree in information technology. Wow. I ran into another student who worked for the U.S. Postal Service. And I'm assuming from our conversation that she already had a degree, but she was coming back getting a degree in accounting, or one of the business, one of the areas, program areas in the School of Business, because she wanted to start her own business now that she was pretty far in her career, and I think fairly close to being able to retire. And then I would think the third typical student here is an older student who's looking at this as sort of continuing education, who may or may not be trying to retrain to go back into the workforce, but more importantly, they're doing it for personal enrichment.